What is your first name?
My name is Beth.
Beth. What problem would you like to start with, Beth, before I and the audience give you other problems?
Gosh, I wasn't thinking problem, but does it have to be a problem, or can it be like feelings I have about something that troubles me?
Something that really troubles you, something live. It doesn't have to be ancient, it could be modern, but anything that you're troubled about these days, and you feel anxious or depressed or angry or upset about.
I have a lot of, I guess, sad, troubled feelings about my relationship with my mother.
All right, let's take that. And do you have them at all times, or when she does something that you don't like?
Well, she lives far away from me, and so I'm not around her very much. But when I talk to her on the phone, when I think about her, I feel very troubled.
But could we take the word trouble and break down? Do you mean angry at her, or depressed, or anxious about what she might think of you, or what? What's the troubled feeling? Give us a recent incident where you talked to her over the phone and you felt troubled.
She's real complicated. Actually, I think she has maybe like schizophrenia or something. I'm always trying to figure her out. She's not all there. I mean, there's a, so I'm always feeling, I'm not sure whether to be angry or to feel hurt or to feel protective of her, or, you know, so I have to keep myself at a real distance.
Well, was there a recent time, or it even could be in the past, when you felt angry about her being confused? All right. And what happened then when you felt angry?
She called me on the phone, and I was busy writing a paper, and so I was feeling anxious anyway. And she wants my sister to belong and practice a certain religion, and my sister doesn't want to. And my mother continually sends her things, calls her, tries to get her to do this. And
sometimes she does the same thing to you, or mainly to your sister?
It's mainly to my sister.
I see. Is she a younger sister?
Yes.
Right. All right.
I'm sorry. I said, why can't you just leave her alone and accept her the way she is?
Right.
And my mother started yelling, and I started yelling, and finally I hung up on her.
All right, so I think that's fairly clear and maybe typical, that not all the time, but some of the time your mother gets after your sister particularly, and not only gets after her, but keeps persisting that your sister must do what your mother wants her to do with religion or anything else. And then when you hear that and see that, you feel angry.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Because at that point, what do you think you're saying to yourself, not just to your mother or your sister, but to yourself, to make yourself angry? Because we control our feelings and we make ourselves angry or hurt or whatever. What do you think goes on in your head while your mother is doing this?
I guess it's mostly about their relationship. I keep thinking, gosh, she says she cares about her. Why can't she just leave her be? I love my sister. We're very, very close.
Right.
And so I've felt the pain and sensed the pain my sister has about not being accepted.
Right.
And so I've tried to let my mom know. And
right.
I think, why doesn't she get it?
So you're saying, why doesn't she be less demanding, less controlling of my sister? How could she be that way when she knows my sister even has problems, and still she goes on and on?
Yeah, why can't she just love her the way she is?
So you're first wishing that your mother would act differently. But then that won't cause anger, because you just say, well, I wish my mother were different, but she's been this way for years, that's the way she is. You'd feel sorry or disappointed. But when you're angry, you're adding something else, some demand in your head, not to your mother, but to you. No, what demand do you think you're saying to yourself about your mother that makes you angry. There's a demand there. Do you know what it is?
I guess I don't.
Well, it's usually, and I'm not saying in your case, but you could consider it along lines that, one, my mother is wrong about this, and let's you and I assume she is wrong, and she shouldn't act that way with my sister who easily could get upset. Are you telling yourself something like that when you're angry?
You know, I think the anger in this instance came, she wasn't listening to me at all. She was just talking on and on and on
Right.
and on. And
As she shouldn't.
right.
Yeah, you see. Without that godlike, grandiose demand that I think my mother is wrong, in fact, I know she's wrong, and she shouldn't be, you wouldn't get angry. You'd feel, as I said, sorry, disappointed, something like that. But anger almost always, and I can't say always, is a godlike demand. Not only that my mother is wrong, and again, I'm assuming with you she probably is wrong, but she must not, should not be wrong. Then you're going to make yourself angry. Do you see the difference between I wish she weren't wrong and therefore she shouldn't be? Do you see that those two are different?
Mm-hmm.
So when you're saying she shouldn't be wrong when she indubitably is wrong, then you're going to make yourself upset. Then when you get angry at your mother, suppose you start fighting with her or even screaming at her, how do you feel about you for being angry at your poor dear mother?
Badly, very badly.
So you feel somewhat guilty.
Uh-huh.
Well, in rational emotive behavior therapy, we usually go for what we call the secondary disturbance first. Your first disturbance, which we're going to get back to in a minute, is called anger, rage, fury, something like that. But the second one is guilt. Now, you've taken your anger from the first disturbance and you notice it again. You say, you know, I feel angry and I'm off the wall about my goddamn mother. And then you feel guilty because what do you think your should on yourself is? You have a should on yourself that you're telling yourself.
Oh, yeah. I should stay calm. I should be able to listen to her. I wasn't listening to her very well either. I didn't want to hear it.
Right.
And, you know, I should love my mother.
Right, of course. She's your mother.
Right.
All right, now that I'm going to question and challenge that secondary disturbance that I should not be angry, because let's assume it's unpreferable to be angry because you're going to upset yourself, your mother's not going to change, not going to do much good. Why must you be calm? It's good to be calm and not angry at her, but why do you have to be that way?
Well, partly because it really agitates me. Like you said, the anger doesn't do me any good. She doesn't get it. And so it upsets me.
Right.
And
I upset me with, I'll go back to that in a minute. But you see, you did what most people do. Whenever I ask them a question, why must this be, they tell me why it's preferential, why it would be good. So it would be good if you were calm, serene, collected, etc. But why do you have to be what would be preferable, calm and collected? Why do you have to be?
I don't have to be.
That's right. Now, did you really believe that when you just said it? I don't have to be. It would be lovely, great, but I really don't have to be unangry at my nutty mother. Did you really believe that when you said it? You say, because if you did, the anger at you, the guilt will go away. If you really first accept you unconditionally, even when you're screwing up and making yourself foolishly angry. So that's the first thing in rational emotive behavior therapy we would try to get you to do, to unconditionally accept you even when you're, as I said, screwing up, when you're doing stupid things, making yourself furious at your nutty mother. But then once you start doing that, then you get back to the original, which we said before. At what we call A, adversity, your mother is beating your sister over the head verbally, and at C, consequence, you're angry. Because your B is, she shouldn't be doing that wrong thing, right? Well, why should your mother your nutty mother be unnutty and act well? Why should she? What are the chances?
There's not any.
That's right, you see. Now, what could you change that to? Your mother's still acting badly, and we could practically guarantee she's going to keep doing that maybe for the rest of her life. What could you tell yourself instead of she should be that way, she must not be the way she is, that would make you just sorry and displeased rather than horrified, angry at her? What could you say to yourself?
I guess she's never going to change, and I just need to love her the way she is.
That's right. I can love her, accept her, not like what she does. We wouldn't want to change your goals and values. Your goal is to see people like your mother act well toward your sister, toward you and other people. So we don't want to change that. But she doesn't have to be the preferable way. I can accept her, a fallible, screwed-up human, with her disturbance, because she is disturbed. Then you'd be unangry.
She's not going to ever see this video, right? I mean, I would feel really bad if she saw this video.
Right.
Okay. Sorry.
Now,
Had a little thought.
when you're angry at your mother or think she's going to do something, do you tend to avoid her, not talk to her, run away from it?
I tend to put the phone down, and I feel afraid like she's going to come. And I realize that she's in Arizona.
Right.
I can take the phone off the hook. I really am safe, and that calms me down. She really can't come or invade my life right now.
Right,
So.
but because you know lots of times that she's going to do that and help upset you, she really can't upset you, but help, do you sometimes avoid her? Run away
Oh,
from
yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right.
Oh,
So
yeah.
what I would like to see you do, you don't have to, is first accept you again with your anger. Don't put yourself down. Then accept her with her nonsense, and to help you do it, deliberately at times see her more rather than less, or talk to her over the phone, and practice telling yourself what you said before. There goes my crazy mother again, still out of her fucking mind. Isn't that fascinating? You see. But don't avoid the situation, because then you rebuild the anger.
And the guilt.
And the guilt,
Yeah.
exactly. That's exactly the point. So think differently and act differently. And I'm going to show you a technique now of working on your feeling of anger.
Great.
Close your eyes and imagine the worst, that despite our talking here today and you're trying to work on it, your mother gets worse and worse and gets after your sister more, and you can't stop her, and you speak to her in a nice manner and say, look, mother, that's really, you may be right, but that's not doing any good. But she goes on, and she keeps persisting, plaguing your sister. Can you vividly imagine that happening?
Very.
Yeah, easily. And how do you honestly feel in your gut as you imagine it? What's your honest feeling as you watch her, hear her go on and on and on?
Anxiety, frustration.
Just anxiety and frustration. Do you also feel angry at times? Is that when you imagine her still doing it?
It's funny, I think the guilt in there keeps me from being angry very much.
I see. All right, but get in touch then with your guilt. Make yourself guilty, because you're building up the anger, and it is your mother, so you're making yourself guilty about that. So feel as guilty, as down and low as you could possibly be for your intolerance of your mother. Feel really, really guilty, depressed, down, low. Feel it, implode it. Feel as self-downing, as guilty as you can feel. And then keeping the same image, she's still going on and you're still sort of seething about it. Make yourself feel only sorry and disappointed with what she and you are doing, but not guilty and not angry. Just sorry and disappointed, which you can do. And tell me when you only feel sorry and disappointed. change your feeling.
Okay.
All right? Open your eyes. How did you change it? What did you do to take the anger and the guilt and only feel sorry and disappointed about what was happening? What did you do to change that feeling?
First I realized how good it would feel to not have to feel guilty.
Right.
And
Good.
to not be angry, and
Right.
to realize the weight of all that on me.
Right. That's good.
And then I have Albert Ellis's permission to give that up. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
So,
All right. That was very good, but you could have gone a step further and give you permission to even rage yourself, seethe, feel furious at your mother. That would be an even better thing. To have me give it is okay, but I'm not always around. I have other things to do in life. You see. But that was a very good answer if you apply it to you, that I don't have to make myself horrified, upset, angry, or guilty. I give myself permission to just feel sorry and disappointed. Too bad that my mother's that way, but that's the way she is, and too bad that I'm easily angered or anger myself, but that's the way I am. Now, what I'd like you to do, it's a sort of training process to train your feelings. It only took you a minute to do that. It usually does take a minute. Every day for the next 30 days, imagine the worst. Again, even if you're not talking to your mother, you can imagine it. Let yourself feel guilty and angry if you do feel it, as long as you change it the way you just did, giving yourself permission to be yourself. Even do the wrong thing, and then train yourself at the end of 10 or 20 or 30 days to automatically only feel healthfully, appropriately sorry and disappointed and not enraged and not guilty. Now, will you work at that a minute or two every day until you train yourself to do that?
Yes.
I'm pretty sure you will, but just to give you reinforcement to show the members of the audience how to do it, what do you like to do that you do almost every day in the week? Some pleasure that you enjoy?
I walk or run. I try to get exercise in.
Fine. For the next 30 days, don't do that till after you do the rational emotive imagery and change your feeling. Then you can do all
That
day.
might not work because,
Yeah.
you know, if it's cold out or whatever. Gosh, it's something I really like to do that I do.
You can take any
Hug my
pleasure.
kids or
What?
something. Hug my kids.
Hug your kids, all right. Don't hug your kids till after you do the rational emotive imagery.
Okay,
right?
that would work.
Then you can
Because
hug.
that would be hard.
What chore or task do you hate to do and therefore you avoid it? Some unpleasant task, like talking to your mother, for example.
Laundry.
What?
Laundry?
All right, laundry. If bedtime arrives for the next 30 days and you haven't yet done the rational emotive imagery and change your feeling, then you stay up for an hour doing the laundry. And if it gets all too clean, you do the neighbor's laundry. Anything else you'd like to ask me about this problem right now?
You know, I was wondering if I needed to kind of work on having more loving feelings towards her. I mean, do I need to go beyond the just...
Oh, no. If you want to do that, now you're not obliged to love your mother just because she's your mother. But if you really get rid of your anger, minimize that, and your guilt, then she does do some nice things. She did give birth to you. She brought you up, even to your sister. So you can think of some nice things about her, and you can even love her. But don't feel obliged to love her. That's not necessary. I want to thank you for coming up and working on it.
Thank you.
All right.